In the news this week, further evidence emerges of the shocking ill-treatment of gender-confused children at London's Tavistock clinic. In a Channel 4 documentary, MP Danny Kruger exposes the dangers of legalising assisted suicide. And magistrates in Birmingham clear pro-life campaigners of all silent prayer charges. Hello. Society must confront the ill-treatment of gender-confused children at the Tavistock Centre, a senior BBC journalist has warned. Newsnight producer Hannah Barnes' new book on England's flagship transgender clinic for children reveals how vulnerable youngsters were routinely set on a sex swap medical pathway. Barnes claims more than 1,000 children were referred for puberty blockers by the clinic, but more than 97% of those seeking sex changes had autism, depression, or other problems, evidence the Tavistock ignored. Times columnist Hadley Freeman, who conducted an interview with Barnes on her findings, called the account a jaw-dropping insight into failure of leadership, of child safeguarding, and of the NHS. Commenting on the exposé, Equalities Minister Kemi Badenoch wrote, "Let the tragic Tavistock scandal remind us to always stand up for the truth as we see it, no matter how inconvenient or impolite some may find the truth to be." Assisted suicide is an execution of those deemed not worthy to live, a Conservative MP has warned. In the Channel 4 programme, Prue and Danny's Death Road Trip, Danny Kruger told his mother, Dame Prue Leith, that Britain should heed evidence from overseas of the terrible consequences of legalising assisted suicide. He argued that when you permit doctors to decide that some people are better off dead, you will inevitably end up expanding the criteria to access it. Following the broadcast, Kruger warns that removing legal protections for the vulnerable would pressure them to end their lives for fear of being a burden.
What we have in Canada, and we met doctors who confirmed this, many patients who are disabled, who are mentally unwell, who have conditions that we would all regard as actually quite manageable, including anorexia, eating disorders, people with hernias, people with difficult, very painful conditions, but ones that do not require you to, most people wouldn't think you should be dying soon from them, can get a doctor to confirm that they need euthanasia. And thousands of people, the vulnerable, the lonely, those who feel a burden on their families or on the healthcare system, are being pushed down this route.
Justice Secretary Dominic Raab has called for prisons to be a place where the goal is to get drug users totally drug-free, not just languishing indefinitely on drug substitutes. Endorsing abstinence-based treatment, he said it plays a critical part in breaking the cycle of addiction, and methadone should only be used with the aim of breaking the habit completely. Otherwise, we risk simply replacing one addiction for another. The government's long-term vision for prisons includes a zero-tolerance approach to drugs, while aiming to rebuild drug-free lives. So far, 45 prisons across England and Wales have set up units to incentivise abstinence from drugs, with the goal of reaching 100 by 2025. In a government announcement, Raab expressed his belief that the units and drug recovery wings will help prisoners tackle their addictions, including to opiate substitutes like methadone, in turn cutting their risk of reoffending and creating safer streets. And finally, pro-life campaigners arrested for silently praying near an abortion centre in Birmingham have been vindicated. During hearings at Birmingham Magistrates Court, the judge dismissed cases against Isabel von Spruce and Roman Catholic priest Sean Goff after the Crown Prosecution Service failed to provide any evidence and dropped the charges. The pair were supported throughout by Alliance Defending Freedom. Isabel spoke to the Institute's Kieran Kelly.
This is obviously very good news. You must be delighted.
Yeah, I'm really pleased, Kieran. So yesterday we went to Birmingham Magistrates Court and I was found not guilty on all the charges. The prosecution didn't offer any evidence whatsoever. So now I'm officially not guilty rather than just having charges dropped, which is quite a different situation. And yeah, I'm completely vindicated of any wrongdoing. So I really wanted to thank everybody who's been praying into this situation. And I know loads of people have sent their support and their prayers. And yeah, thank you to all the people at Christian Institute that have prayed. And obviously I'm very pleased for ADF who've been supporting me through this, that they've helped secure this verdict.
Absolutely. So this has worked out well for you in the end, but with the prospect of censorship zones like these being rolled out nationwide, you must have some concerns.
Huge concerns, yeah. And obviously it should never have come to this, that I was arrested on a public street just simply for my, private thoughts in my own head. And the concerns are that this could be happening nationwide if national buffer zones are passed. These censorship zones, whether it's PSPOs or the possibility of national buffer zones, are totally, disproportionate, that they're discriminating against people with certain beliefs. And certainly to Christians, they particularly mention prayer and making it a criminal offence, to hold certain prayers in certain areas. So I think Christians really need to be on the watch, really pray that this doesn't go through with national buffer zones, and to be speaking out against this. And to be fair, whatever anyone's religious beliefs or even their beliefs on the pro-life issue, I think we should be aware that, our basic freedoms are at threat with national buffer zones, and we need to make sure that it does not get to the stage that those freedoms are taken away by law, because that would be a grave injustice.
Well, that's all for this week. For regular updates and information on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.